Good morning, Truther family. Bosco Nick will find your truth. And I want to talk about how much rights do you actually have? Okay, well, according to the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and everything else, if you actually research that stuff and research the Act of 1871, you'll start to realize, now don't mind me, just got off of work a few hours ago, having a bevy, deserve it. But if you research the Act of 1871, you'll see that shortly after America gained its independence, it lost its independence in 1871. Apparently, the Google algorithm and the artificial intelligence that creates that, or whoever created the artificial intelligence for it, is not ashamed to tell you about the Act of 1871 in short. That it is back under British and Roman, but not strictly Roman, Vatican law. And I'm going to explain that in short. Church and state. Okay? Church created the state. The state fought to create the Constitution. The Constitution liberated the people. Then, shortly after, banks were created to deliberate the people in secret, to demoralize you in secret. Okay, that's why we live in a monetary system that is currency-based and not money-based. They're afraid to tell you that. And the reason why is because every single time your wife or your mother gave birth, look up the word birth, okay? But when you say it, say shipping terminology of birth. Okay, and you'll start to slowly go into the whole effect, and you'll realize that birthing is a certificate of authenticity. Basically making you sound like you're cargo. Okay, you're an asset. This vape is an asset to this corporation. Is it alive? Can it speak to you? Can it write for itself? Can it speak for itself? Some things, and only one thing it can, is speak for itself, which is the quality of the product. You and the work that you can perform is the quality of the product. Okay? So, if you can't be quality for a product, well, then you get your handouts, you accept your handouts, you accept your slavery, you accept your indoctrination, you accept your sheepalism, and you go out and you vote just so you can get them free handouts. Hurrah for you! You get to do nothing. Except maybe clean your house, do your dishes, check after your kids. Whatever. Doesn't matter if you're American or not. Nowadays, it doesn't matter if you're American and have credentials or not, because those credentials are your slavery. And it's okay for someone just to skip the border nowadays and get a fucking driver's license. They don't need a birth certificate, social security card, no form of identification of who you are or what you are or whatever. And they're just hand you a fucking driver's license. You hop in a car, you drive, travel. They're not calling it driving, they're calling it traveling. Just to let you know that. And there is a difference. And the funny thing is, they won't tell Americans that, but they'll tell the fucking foreigners that. Pardon my French. Yes, they will. They'll tell the foreigners that, oh, it's okay for you to travel. Traveling's okay, it's free. Creator gave you that right. Well, yeah, the Creator gave everybody the right to travel. The Creator gave everybody the right to the land that they live on and the land that they were conceived on. But when you travel to a foreign person's land, like we did, and well, actually not like we did, but like our ancestors did thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, they came here and took over the Indians and everything. I feel it was a bad thing. Every time I meet an Indian, I feel bad. I feel sympathetic. I feel sympathetic for my ancestors, not for their ancestors. Their ancestors were warriors, true warriors that stood up against anything. I'm not going to say tyrants. They stood up against anything that took their land or tried to take their land or their God-given right, their entity-given right. And they knew about this. And this is where the church comes in. This is where the church doesn't get away from it. We all could have learned from ancient ancestry. Instead of killing these indigenous people off, we could have learned from them. Could have learned from them. The radical ones, yes. There's always going to be radicals. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you go. There's always going to be that radical group of people. Okay, you could move to a whole town from your other town. It could be quiet. It could be more quiet than your town was and your county ever was. That little town could be more quiet than the rest of the county. Or your little town could be just as bad, or if not worse, as the rest of the county. Okay? So, the rights that you have are what you have. They're written as a remembrance to remind you of the rights that you have. So your Constitution isn't just a piece of paper. It's a remembrance. It's to remember what you have. I'm not going to give it or whatever it is a name. Your Creator, because it's constant. Okay? You go outside, plants are created. Life is created. Everything is created from this creation of something, whatever is creating it. All of it. Doesn't matter what it is, down to the smallest little microbe. Okay? Your rights are what you have. No man or woman or any form of human being as such as yourself cannot write it in or write it out if they would just teach everybody basic law, which is no harm, no loss, no crime. Do no harm, do no ill, do no wrong to anyone. Don't break, steal, or take without consent anybody's stuff. You're not a criminal. That's simple. That's simple. That much of a microbe. That simple. Life could be. They don't tell you that. You know why? Because they want division. They want that divide. They want that great divide, that great separation of seas. They want people to walk through the center of the sea, and then they'll collapse it whenever they can. Because you allow them to. If you're not doing anyone put it this way, when they say you're committing a crime, if there's no victim, there's no crime. If there's no victim, there's no crime. Plain and simple. Just say those exact words. If there's no victim, there's no crime. You can't convict me of a crime if there's no victim. Right now, I would be the victim. We're all the victim. Everybody on Facebook, social media, carrying a cell phone, looking under their smart TVs, looking at this smart society, these smart things, the smart way, the computers, everybody. Everybody's watching you. No privacy. We're living in a police state, which has started my YouTube channel And honestly, you need to look up police state, break down the word usage, break down everything, and you'll find out it's a dictatorship. You don't want that. You don't want a dictatorship. You don't want anybody ruling over you or yourself or your family or anyone, and you wouldn't want anybody doing it to you. Don't do it to anyone else. It's that simple. Remember how microscopically simple things could be? Stop thinking inside the box and start thinking outside the box. They want you inside the box, so you stay afraid and you stay this little thing, and they're much bigger than you because they are all part of these societies, and we've been warned about this multiple times from the inception of the Bill of Rights and Constitution and Declaration of Independence till all the way up until I would say JFK. And that was it. It was silence after that. Silence. Don't you speak or we're going to blow your head off. Silence. And who's the next man doing the same thing? Donald Trump. JFK said we're going to put a flag and a man on the moon. Donald Trump's all about putting a flag and a man on Mars. Is history repeating itself? Or are people just not catching on to history repeating itself? Let's hope the man with the mouth is on our side and saying what he's saying. And I hope he comes out with the truth eventually instead of moving along with these Neanderthals who are obviously showing their colors. And he says, there is no Mars, there is no this. What you see is what you see. What you have is what you have. If he's willing to take the risk of telling the entire world that you live in a bubble, there's no way out, you better make the best of it that you can and do the best that you can. And hope that everyone gets it all at once, because he's moving history backwards, and he's trying to, which kind of could be a good thing, and it kind of could be a bad thing. He's got a 50-50. That's why I say I don't accept left or right. I'm just saying 50-50. Okay, 50-50 chance that this one individual might be possibly playing a game. Now, is it playing a game for the good or for the worst? Won't know until you pull our heads out of our asses and start following along. I'm not saying you have to follow the news. Obviously, the news is created by the CIA, so go with your alternative media. Piece things together on your own. Use your own due diligence and vet your own research. Bosco Nick with Find Your Truth. Like, share, subscribe, and please support me on my PayPal or Cash App. Thank you, and I hope you safe and friendly day. Always start your day with a smile. Have a good one.